Hey. Trying to live stream here for the first time. Bear with me. Check. Hey, there's people here. So I guess that it is working. Let me blast out this link. And then we're going to just talk. You guys can ask me questions in the comments. I'll try to keep up with them. And I have no idea what I'm doing. So this should be a good time. Let me tweet this out. Let me see if I can say I got a sup dog working. Forgot to put reading DMs on your title. Why you push Voyager so hard? Because I trade there. It's my favorite broker. I've been pushing them since before they even became a sponsor on my podcast, and they were sponsoring my newsletter for a while. But I think that they're an amazing company. So we got some people signing in. Let's see. What's up, everyone? What's up? Maybe I'll even read some more DMs if we get going here, since that seems to be the hit of the day. And those are all real. All my DMs, people come at me all the time, but to be honest, 99% of the DMs that I get are really kind and really nice, and actually really cool. I mean, people are generally really gracious, and you know that I love this community and the people in it, and it's a lot of fun to interact with them, and even the meanest ones are kind of honestly, they're just hilarious. So I got no problems there. Just waiting for a few more people to sign on. We got people rolling in. Can you stream at high quality? I have no idea. Honestly, I don't know what I'm doing. I just connected Zoom to YouTube, said YOLO, and went for it. So yeah, somebody just gave me the this guy emoji, my least favorite one. So yeah. So anyways, guys, go ahead and ask me some questions, and I will do my best to answer. Adam, Gators to win conference. I mean, if there's a conference to win by the end of the season, and they actually have a season to play, and COVID doesn't cancel it, then yeah, I think it's possible. Georgia will be tough, and we'll see what the rest of the SEC has. Someone just said, didn't know you were a Gator fan. You just won 100,000 cool points. Go Gators. I grew up in Gainesville, Florida. I've been a Gator fan my entire life. My dad went to the University of Florida undergrad and moved to Gainesville to run the emergency room at the University of Florida. My brother is a UF med school residency graduate. My entire family basically went to the University of Florida. So yeah, I'm a big Gator fan. Tell us Don Jr. stories. Nope, those are all out there already, and I'm not getting into that. Top advice to a 24-year-old from Akira over here. There's a lot, actually. So I have mixed feelings on what you should be doing in your youth, because I came out of the other end and had a lot of fun. So I don't have as many regrets financially as I probably should. I mean, when I was in my 20s, I didn't care about money at all. I sort of had the mentality that I would do enough to get by. And, if I wanted to go on a trip, I would put it on my credit card and hope for the best and hope that I could pay my rent. And that's obviously not a smart approach to life. Had a lot of fun as a result of it, but it's definitely not the way you want to proceed. I mean, my advice to a 24-year-old would be to start putting money away early and often, and don't touch it. Even if it's just $10 here, $20 there, skipping one dinner and putting that money into a retirement fund and not touching that money. That's the way that people have gotten rich since the beginning of time. Literally have acquired wealth. Those people have never had to look at a chart or think about a trade. They just put money into a market early and often and don't touch it. It's a guaranteed way at every point in history to become rich if you have a long enough timeline. Even the Great Depression was only roughly a decade and was the greatest buying opportunity in history if you were investing for 30 or 40 years. So honestly, there's not much downside to just putting money away and saving it and not touching it. It's really hard when you're young because A, you don't have expendable income, and B, you want to have fun. You want to do things, but that's not the case with COVID right now. So if you're sitting at home and doing nothing, put your money in the market. Honestly, I think it's the best move. DJ for us online. I've got turntables back there, but I haven't touched them in quite a long time. But maybe one day we'll do a live stream of me DJing. Do you do what Pulte does? Actually, I'm supposed to have him on the podcast. We're recording next week. And I am really interested to hear how he does it, why he does what he does. For anyone who doesn't know, he's the one who gives away money on Twitter all the time, like just constantly giving away money. Interesting, his story. I've only looked into him a bit, but his great grandfather, I believe, was like a self-made, potentially billionaire, but exceptionally wealthy. So people assume that Bill gave his, is giving away his family fortune, but in reality, apparently he earned all of his own money in private equity or at a hedge fund or running a hedge fund or something like that. So it's really interesting, dude. So go back to the beginning, make sure I didn't miss anything. What do you think of the Smiths? Smiths are amazing. Is that even in dispute? I think that's a fact. Can you stream at high quality? Don't dump your sushi on us. Yeah, I don't have sushi, so you don't need to worry about that. 9 minutes to set up. It was pretty fast. Yes, I am amazing. Can we enter algo again? I don't know. Yo, guy. So 3 massive FUD news bits in a week or so in 2017. This would have killed the market. What do you think of this price action? I'm not really concerned, actually, and touch on an interesting point there, because I think that it's a sign of a mature market when it doesn't react massively to bad news. First of all, BitMEX, that news I think would be expected. We all know that the CFTC was investigating them a year ago. The arrests are a bit surprising, but I don't think anyone doubted that there was some regulation coming to the space and that there would be a bit of a reckoning for BitMEX. Also, I mean, BitMEX has a lot of money. They're going to take this to court. This is going to ride for a long time. I don't see BitMEX being shut down anytime soon. It'll probably be a very slow wind down if that does happen. So that's one of those things where, I kind of remember Brexit, when Brexit was announced, even though we all knew that it would take literally years for them to figure out what that looked like, the markets crashed immediately on the news that the United Kingdom, that they were going to leave the European Union. That was actually like, I bought a ton of stock that morning, and that was one of the best things I ever did, because it was just an irrational dump. Does Trump getting COVID, he's asymptomatic? I don't think that it's probably that big a deal. I think it's somewhat expected, and things like this are more pressed in. So I think that it's a sign of a mature market that we haven't seen an epic crash. I mean, Bitcoin's down from like the 10,800s to the 10,500s. It's a nothing burger, in my opinion. Altcoin shopping today? Not yet, because I'm talking to you guys. Congrats on Binance Influence Award. Thank you. Check out Core. I'm seeing Core hashtagged everywhere on Twitter. I have no idea what it is, but it's definitely making me want to look into it a bit more. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the comments. This is my first shot at this. So, do it, Pulte. I might have missed some here, but they keep moving. What's your favorite trading strategy? From Ran. I joke about this all the time. Every time I'm on an interview, people always ask me that question. So if you've been trading long enough, I feel like you've pretty much tried everything, right? You go through that phase of Ichimoku, supply, demand, support, resistance, RSI, OBV, literally every single thing that you could possibly imagine. And you end up being, what we call over-analysis paralysis. You have a million lines on your chart, you have a million indicators pulled up, and they're all telling you different things, and you can never make a freaking decision. So you talk about my favorite trading strategy, it doesn't matter. I like to use just simple horizontal lines, classic patterns and breakouts, but the reality is your trading strategy is about your risk management. It has really nothing to do with how you look at a chart or identify entries and exits. People forget there's guys at hedge funds. I mean, I have friends who are hedge fund researchers and stuff who have never looked at a chart in their lives. They trade without charts. They don't need them, right? They trade on the fundamentals. They trade on the news about the company, P&L or earnings reports, things like that. So to get caught up in a million things on a chart when the chart is simply a risk management tool. So my favorite trading strategy is to look at a chart, figure out for whatever reason, I believe I have a justifiable entry and stop loss, back calculate my position size from there, and then walk away and stick to the plan. It's so hard for people to do. It was so hard for me to do for a long time, but that is the best trading strategy that exists, right? Good risk management and not getting emotional and changing your plan in the middle of a trade. That's what destroys people. We've all done it, right? You take your trade, stop loss approaching, you're watching the chart, you think you see something that might give you an indication that price is going to reverse, and you move your stop loss down. It blasts right through your original stop loss and goes down another 20%. Now you're a bag holder and you're stuck. You didn't see anything. You just willed yourself to believe that there was something that was going to trade it, or you take profit too early, or you get to your take profit and you remove it because you think that, oh my gosh, it's going to go way past it, right? I don't have this perfect selling order. It's got to blast right past. And that would have been the perfect take profit. Price crashes, your stop loss hits. Sometimes you miss your take profit and you move your stop loss and it goes down below that. So those are huge mistakes. So if you want to talk about trading strategy, is work on your risk management and don't worry so much about your technical analysis. When was your first Bitcoin purchase, Scott? That was in late 2016. Actually, someone tried to pay me for a DJ gig in 2012 in Bitcoin. And I laughed and was like, no, I want actual money. I don't know what that scam is. Don't give that to me. So I have a lot of regret about not doing that. What's your current opinion on YF die? Actually, I hold a little bit. I think it's a really interesting project. My approach with all of these projects, I should say, is to have very, very small positions and assume they're going to zero. I've said this a million times, but if you're trading or investing on Uniswap where they don't have stop losses and you can't really have a plan, you have to take a tiny position where if it literally goes to zero, your entire loss is 1% of your portfolio. So the only way you could have a risk management strategy on any of these products is to assume zero is your stop loss and back calculate your position size from there. I'm in a position where I can take a shot at a whole lot of these. And if one of them goes absolutely nuts, like YFL did, which someone mentioned here, it pays for you to lose on 1,000 of them, right? So for me, that's my mentality, but that's not something you can do if you're investing all of your money in one of these projects or way too overexposed. So as tiny as it might have to be, you have to calculate it where a position in one of these coins is not more than 1 to 2% of your entire thing. Hashtag many. Starting to hear a lot about that. At what age did you start to trade? Well, I wouldn't say trade, but I started buying stock when I was a very young teenager. I had got it as a gift from my parents. I think, I joked Disney and Caterpillar because obviously I thought tractors were cool and Disney was Disney. And, it was just kind of a lesson back then. You had to like call a stockbroker and they sent you a literal certificate piece of paper that you own the stock. It's really crazy to think back to doing it without the internet and computers, but that's how it was. But I was not a serious trader for most of my life, honestly. It was something I did casually. I was pretty terrible at. I joke, I can tell you, like in 2000, when I graduated college in 1999, I bought a mutual fund with like all the money I had made. It was $5,000. It's everything I had. And I was like, I'm going to put this away for the future. And then I had no money like a year later to pay my rent. Life lessons of your first time out in the real world. And I had to cash that mutual fund out for like $3,500. So I lost $1,500 on my first big investment. And, there's a penalty. It was a disaster. So, and things like that have happened to me a million times. And generally just when I got going, I would blow up my account. So I was a crap trader like everyone else. And I really got it together, kind of when I got more serious about it, 2015, 16, 17. But it's something that has kind of been happening in the background for a long time. What about Shroom? Shroom's awesome. My friend Josh Rager, who you all probably pronounce Josh Rager, but it's Josh Rager. Josh put me onto it a couple of weeks ago. He was like, hey man, take a look at this, maybe buy a little bit, see what you think. Engine's obviously doing something similar, but it's not exactly the same. It's in-game purchases and stuff like that. But I think it's a really, really cool project with a lot of potential. And it doesn't hurt that it's done like a 25 or 30x since I bought it. A lot of people asking about YFL here. I really like YFL. I think we all know that. I have high hopes. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll here. Never trusted BitMEX. How's your plan on acquiring more land going? It's going very well. We have acquired more land. Your newsletters are awesome. So much quality content. Keep on going, bro. Thank you so much. I really love writing the newsletter. It's my favorite thing that I do every week. I basically spend all of Monday gathering it together. Our team, my assistant, everyone helps out. We find great news, things like that. And then, Tuesday morning when it comes out, I get up really, really early because I want to hit all the charts and try to find some trades. And then I'm basically charting. And it's the same thing on Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday, I'm getting ready for Thursdays. Thursdays, I do chart requests in the morning. So I'm, sometimes it's been up to 30, 40 charts that people ask me for. So I'll just be in there diligently charting the crap out of everything because I can't really chart it a day or two in advance, right? Because altcoin market moves so fast. With a stock or something where I can look at a weekly chart, it's different. But so yeah, I love doing the newsletter. It's a lot of work, but a lot of fun. Will you buy some Many Scott the Wolf? I don't know. I haven't looked into Many at all yet, honestly. I know I have a couple friends who I've just found out in the last day or two are like devs there and working on other things. So I have to take a look. I've just been really too busy. Hi, great initiatives. I was following you for some time. Quick question. What would be your best advice if willing to benefit of crypto for October and November? Honestly, like anyone who kind of follows me knows that I don't like to make grand predictions about the future. When it comes to trading, I like to really just look at a chart and trade everything level to level without thinking about what it could be in a year, or what it could be in a decade, or what it could be in 20 years, because it just doesn't really matter to me. I believe that the market will rise. And so I'm willing to be patient and slow and take the time to do that. Warren Buffett has the famous quote that the market is a mechanism for transferring wealth from the impatient to the patient. And I believe that's true. So I don't really think about markets in terms of October and November because everything could change tomorrow. I mean, Trump got COVID, right? You never know what's going to come. So I just take each trade as it comes. And then my larger strategy is to invest. And that's never with a month or 2 months on my mind. I'm thinking about a year, 2 years, more likely 10, 20 years. So do you think leverage trading is over? Talking as a non-American? No, I don't think that at all. So the first thing I did was, because Femex, the exchange where I trade, I know their entire team. I've interviewed the CEO. They sponsor my newsletter. Immediately, I called them and said, "So, what does this mean for you guys?" But just because it was the closest source I could get, I guess, to get some context. So BitMEX was unique in that they were kind of flaunting what they were doing. They put it out there that they were knowingly doing it, and they have some other things that were happening that are suspect. We obviously all know that the exchange freezes every time there's a big move. And we also know that they have an internal trading desk, which means they know where the big orders are, which means that they can freeze their exchange and sweep your stops and take out your orders before you can get back. Of course, that's conjecture, but there's been a million reports of that happening, stop losses magically disappearing or not firing, things like that. So I think that the other exchanges that are big largely have probably learned lessons from that and tried to approach things in a different way. I would say that, we see Kraken might be a good model for what it'll look like for Americans because they're in America. They just got a license to be a bank and they're allowing leverage trading. So, I think that Americans will probably have less products and lower leverage, but that'll happen. If you're not American, since you're talking as non-American, I don't think you'll be affected at all. I think just the exchanges are largely going to have to get in line and fix whatever might be a regulatory issue, depending on what city they're in, country they're in, and move from there. Psychologically, how do you get over a missed opportunity or buying the dip because you've bought a dip earlier? It's a good question. So nothing in the market should be viewed as a missed opportunity per se. You make the decision that you make the decision with the best information you have, and you accept the result in advance of making that decision. Sounds crazy, but that's really all there is to it. So whatever happens after you take your trade is out of your control. The only thing that you can control actually in trading is how much you lose. People don't realize that. They get caught up in where am I going to set my take profit? How much money am I going to make on this? And the reality is you can't control that at all. You can't control anything except for where you put your stop loss and your position size and how much you lose when that trade goes against you. So I always joke that you need to plan your losses, which I think is really, really true. So as far as how to psychologically get over it, you just have to not second guess yourself, and you have to accept the outcome of a trade, because it doesn't really matter what happens after you enter. You can't control it. I don't know if that helps, but buying the dip because you bought a dip earlier, if you're investing, who cares, right? If I bought Bitcoin at 10,000 and it goes to 9,000 and I miss the chance to buy at 9,000 and then it goes to 40,000, it's not going to matter. So those are very like immediate emotional reactions to what's happening in that time, but it's not something that you need to be concerned about long term. What do you think about Trump's COVID positive news, how it may affect Bitcoin? It's interesting. I'm a realist. I don't generally engage in conspiracy theories and things like that. But I have to say that I had this like voice in the back of my head, and I don't believe this. But the first thing that I thought was, it's not true that this is some kind of like way to win an election, to take the attention off of Biden for a few weeks, to get the sympathy card. Or on the flip side, he's asymptomatic and he gets better and magically he took hydroxychloroquine and it worked or whatever. But the reality is he loves campaigning. He probably wants to be out campaigning, and this is probably a net negative for his campaign. So I don't believe that. It's just kind of a statement of where we're at, that nobody believes anything, including myself. I'm skeptical and find it hard to believe things. But as far as how it will affect Bitcoin, I don't think it'll be a big deal. I think we're seeing the effects. The news is out. The market's been open for hours. Bitcoin was already shaken a bit by the BitMEX news, and we're still sitting here at 10,500. I'm not saying it won't drop. It could do anything. I mean, this thing could go to the floor. I have no idea, but it seems like it seems like it's going to be kind of a non-issue. And if it progresses and he actually gets sick or something like that, then I think we'll be able to reevaluate. But right now, I think the assumption is that he's positive. He probably won't get that sick if he's not yet, but we'll see. And then he'll get better and life will go on. So, I don't think that it should shake markets more than it already has. And Jay, I think I answered that. So seems all stars are aligned for Bitcoin and crypto in general. Bank license or cracking, crypto, euro, Fed printing, but still no strong movement on Bitcoin and crypto market valuation. I agree with all of that. And I think market cap can be misleading, or and price can be misleading. Those are great indicators of bullishness or bearishness. But you also have to look at context and what's happening and where the money is coming from and who's invested. So I like to think about 2017 when we were at this price, which was only like a month before we hit the all-time high, right? I mean, Bitcoin went absolutely parabolic and bananas. At this point, everybody was talking about crypto, right? Everybody was interested in it. Everybody knew everything there was to know about crypto. Your hairdresser was telling you about it. Your cab driver was telling you about it. This time, that's not the thing, right? It's just kind of, Bitcoin is part of the news cycle. It's normal. There's no real FOMO. So how are we at the same price? How have we recovered? Well, the answer is that, Fidelity did their study that said 1/3 of all institutions have some sort of exposure to crypto. I believe it's different money this time. It's big money, and it's the money that you need for a market to really go parabolic. So like I said, a sign of a mature market is that it doesn't react to these huge news events, this crazy FOMO. Any one of those things you listed, bank license for cracking, crypto, euro, Fed printing, any one of those things, even a news article in 2016 or 17 about crypto would send the market insane, right? They could crash the market. It could pump the market. Now we have news about crypto, about Bitcoin, like 10 times a day. Doesn't matter, right? It's not even a thing. So that's a sign that it's a real asset. It's being treated as such, and people aren't dumping it and pumping it the minute that they see anything. So I think it's actually quite bullish in my mind. All this news is incredible. I mean, Kraken is a bank that federal banks can custody crypto. All these things are absolutely huge, and it's just going to take time to play out. But it's impossible not to be bullish, I think, on Bitcoin crypto right now. How to stop staring at charts all day, Logish? That's a good question, because I used to do it, and I still find myself doing it sometimes. You're staring at charts all day generally as a sign of boredom, right? I joke about this all the time, but people like to say, I'm going to get my 10,000 hours and become an expert at anything, right? Malcolm Gladwell outliers. I'll play the piano for 10,000 hours. I'll play hockey for 10,000 hours. And then I get my 10,000 hours to be an expert. But that implies 10,000 hours of actively doing something, not passively doing something. And clicking between timeframes and charts is not actively doing anything. You don't know what you're looking for. You're just watching candles go up and down. It's a completely passive activity. It doesn't count. You're not gaining anything. For me, I want to look at a chart, and I don't need indicators. I don't need anything, right? You get to a certain point with a chart, you look at it and you can kind of get a vibe. If you think it's bearish or bullish, you draw 1 or 2 lines, you set an alarm, and you walk away. It requires you accepting that there's nothing that's going to happen or that you're going to find that isn't obvious or that matters between those 2 levels. So basically, if you just stare at a chart, you're going to end up forcing yourself into trades and trading chop because you want to see something that's not actually there. So my approach is I do a review of the charts, 10, 20 minutes. I draw my lines, I set my alarms, and generally I close them and I go about my day. I record a podcast, I write a newsletter, I hang out with my wife and kids, and I move on. And yeah, I find myself going back and checking, but staring at them is literally useless. Watching price action doesn't teach you anything, right? So I really think that the way to stop, there's no like, one method to do it, but you really need to just be able to step away and accept that you've made your analysis and you're good to go. So my thing is not scrolling here. Let me see. Chad's. The Chad request. You look in the many people are here. You guys are very excited. Martin. Hey, Scott, do you have a view on where we are in the current Bitcoin cycle as per the Wall Street psychological cheat sheet? I'm thinking early disbelief. Yeah, I think we've been in disbelief for a long time, and I agree with that. If you compare it to price action, we were at 3,600 in March. So obviously we saw a huge drop, and I think we've had some disbelief in the recovery since. So yeah, I think you're right. I think we have a long way to go. We're nowhere near the more euphoric. Maybe we've gotten to hope or something like that. Let me see if I can pull that up so anyone can see what we're talking about. Now I'm going really native here because it would require me sharing my screen, which probably will have mixed success. But let me open it up if I can. I'm trying, but not really happening for me. Let's get a big image. Well, everyone's probably seen this, but so here I'm gonna share my screen. Share screen. All right, here's the cheat sheet. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm hoping that you can. I guess I could go look at the live stream, even though it's on delay. So yeah, you start here at disbelief, go up to hope, optimism, belief, thrill, euphoria. This is where we're going to 100,000 starts. New paradigm. We're going to all be super rich. I'm a genius investor. Boom, 20,000, right? Then you have that big dump. That was 10,000. Then you have your complacency. No, it's fine. This is the bull trap. And then all the way down to all these depressions and whatever. And then the whole cycle happens again. And this has happened with markets for as long as they've existed. So maybe we had disbelief before and we're now up to hope. But I don't think there's any argument when looking at the price or anything that we're at optimism, belief, thrill, euphoria, any of those. So I think we've still got quite a long way to go there before any of that becomes the reality. So yeah, I think I agree with you. Now I'm trying to figure out how to unshare my screen, and I'm having trouble because the window's not here. So Cool. Let me see. Stop share. Oh, I did it. I'm amazing. I'm a technological genius of some sort. So let me see here. XRP, what's your take? I don't have one at the moment. I haven't looked at the chart in a long time. I've always found it a bit suspect and disconcerting that, whenever it starts to move, we start to see it, exchanges see a big inflow of XRP from the main wallet, and seemingly they dump on the buyers. I don't know if that's the case, but it's just something that's kind of sent me from away from trading it. That said, sometimes when I need to send money really fast, I use XRP. It's exceptionally good at what it does. So, Roy, what's up, Melker? What are you doing with your 40% stock allocation in cash? We bought a lot of land, so my allocations and things have changed quite a bit. But I haven't been 40% in cash on stocks in a while. I had started buying. Gotta go have fun. What's the word on YFL? And this thing is like, I try to go through the chat and it just completely spazzes. So hard for me to keep up. I'm gonna need like assistance in the future to go through these, because most of them are just cash tags. DeFi ran hot this year. NFTs are heating up. Are you bullish on the NFT sector? And if so, how are you going about gaining exposure to it through Q4 into 2021? That's from Hero Labs. You guys should all follow. That's HXRO. Those guys are amazing. The products are amazing, and I'm very bullish on their coin in general. Didn't know they were here. What's up if that's you, Colin? So yeah, NFTs are the new buzzword. A lot of us have been talking about them for many months, if not years. And now obviously we have Pomp and Jason Williams and Ari Paul all talking about them, and they're becoming very much mainstream, at least within the crypto community. Non-fungible tokens. It's basically your own token for a piece of art. It can also be for a document. There's a million applications for it. I mean, it could be a title or a deed or something like that. But the context everyone else is talking about them in is art. One of the biggest problems in the art world, obviously, is forgeries, proving scarcity. There's been crazy stories of false provenance and people, making up paperwork and aging the paper. And we all know that art can be forged very easily. NFTs eliminate that because obviously it's provable on the blockchain. So I think that there's a lot to be said for scarcity. My podcast yesterday with Justin Blau, DJ Blau, we talked about this at length, but there's a reason that people like to own the only one of something, or to have the real version of something. There's something to be said about the emotional feeling of owning something that's scarce and that other people can't get. And so, I think there's a tremendous use case there. We'll see a lot of crap, just like anything else. There'll be 99% of it will be complete garbage, but 1% of it will be incredible art that will be, viewed to the end of time, just like normal art. So I'm creating some NFTs. Actually, I've been working with the team at Block Party. Hopefully next week we'll be releasing them. I wanted to find a way to include music in NFTs, which is challenging because you're limited in size. Like, they can be about 30 seconds. Blau did a whole drop. He did exceptionally well. He made like $30,000 in a matter of an hour or two selling them. And they're selling on the second market, because on the secondhand market, because traders, that's what traders do. They buy things, they invest, and they sell them. And, they're trading for 5-10x the price that he was paid for them initially. So there's a huge trading and speculative market here as well. But so the idea that I came up with was to take a song and split it into 30-second segments, create a visual to them, create NFTs of each of those 30-second segments with a dope artist, and then to, sell them individually. And if someone gets the collection, they get the entire video comped together as one in a package with the song and things like that. So we're going back to some of my old Ball and Oates stuff that went viral years ago and creating some art around them. I'm really excited about it. I think it's cool. It's just something that marries art and music and crypto for me well, which is like my wet dream, frankly. So I figured I had to definitely get into it. So I will probably start buying things once I understand the market better. And then I just intend to be an artist in the community. What metrics do you use to determine if trading is your game? I'm not really sure what you mean by that, but I would say that the most obvious thing is whether you're profitable or not. If you're losing money, it's not for you, or you need to improve before you have all your money gone. You should do a podcast with your wife. Yes, I should. And I will do that if she will agree, which we'll see. We'll see. I would love to. Emmy, if you're watching, you're being invited on to the podcast officially, and you can come on the live stream anytime you want. We already talked about Trump. When you started to day trade, I've been trading for a long time. We talked about that. Did you end up using Streamlabs OBS? No, I just signed into Zoom, hit the button that said go live on YouTube, and hoped for the best. Weekend predictions, stocks at the moment, are we going sideways or down? I have no idea. And like I said, I just hate making predictions because generally it's just an excuse to look like an idiot. And nobody wants to look like an idiot. God, dude, whoever's asking for algo over and over and over again, I'll look at it in a minute. I'll open the chart. God, when you started to day trade, did it take you a long time to become profitable and take control of your emotions? Yes, it pretty much took me like 15, 20 years. I was very slow to learn. I was gambling. It was not something that came naturally to me. So there you go. Who is tweeting while you are speaking here? Nobody, I don't think. If someone's tweeting from my account, then I'm in trouble unless my wife signed in, and she probably has access. Now I'm going to go look at my Twitter account and see if I'm tweeting. I think all I did was tweet that I was live. Yeah, nobody's tweeting. Thanks. That was a nice distraction. Best tools for learning stop loss strategy. I always hear about it's the most important thing, but never how to use it properly. So a stop loss, setting a stop loss is more art than science. When you first start trading and you first start, looking at charts, you almost inevitably find that you always stop out right before price goes the other way, right? We've all done it. Hit your stop loss, immediately reverses, goes the other way. You feel like an idiot. You get FOMO. You probably then buy back in much higher and lose your money. That's the way that markets work. So if we're talking about stop loss strategy, the best stop loss strategy is to take a wider stop loss than you probably expect in a smaller position so that you don't feel emotional about it. I can't state it enough that the most important things in trading are your stop loss and your position size. If you're emotional about trade, your position size is probably too large and your stop is probably too tight. That's the reality. So you don't want to put your stop at an obvious place. That's what people do, right? You put your stop loss right at support, but price is going to bounce off of support, or price is going to break support, find liquidity and reverse the other way. So you don't want to be also within 1 or 2% of that support. So take a smaller position, lower your stop loss a little bit, and accept what comes. You're still going to get stopped out. Getting stopped out is part of trading. But it's funny because people see taking a stop as a loss. I think mentally you can flip that and take it a completely other way. Is it a loss, or is a stop loss an opportunity to potentially find a better entry? That's how I view it, right? Gets me out of a position that's bad and potentially can get me back into a position that looks better. Do you have recommendation of book or people regarding trading you might have read and inspired you to become the trader you are today? I've never been a big one on trading books. Not things I have read many of or can specifically tell you that inspired me, but there's a single person that has molded me into the trader that I am today. That's Christopher Inks, Texas West Capital, at TX West Capital on Twitter. I found him when I first got into crypto. We literally following his tweets on, his Twitter and looking at his trades like everyone else does. Find an influencer, you follow some of their trade ideas, and he just seemed different. I bothered him. He started a group and he basically became my mentor. And he's the one who sort of helped me eliminate all the emotional parts of trading and really, I guess, sharpened the sword, so to speak. And he actually has a trading course since then, which is amazing, and a Discord group that you can join where he basically coaches everyone. And I hang out in there and still learn every single day. So you can find him at howtotrade2win.com. That's the best resource I've ever found. There's also great videos on YouTube. I mean, CryptoCred has a series of great free videos that you can check out. And I mean, there's just a lot of resources. It's just sometimes if you're a beginner, it's hard to figure out what to do. Do you have a recommendation? Your last position was long, hit stop loss, then price rise 10,800. Stop was wrong. I don't even remember. And why stop looking for long again? I've shared a bunch of charts. Let me open a Bitcoin chart, and then I'll try to share my screen again. The short answer is that I think this is all kind of chop, and that we need to see some definitive movement before I'm convinced of a direction. And I've also just haven't been in the mood to trade smaller time frame moves. I'm looking for bigger trades. And by the way, I'm always investing in Bitcoin, so none of this matters. So this is kind of the chart I've been looking at on the daily. And so I don't really see with this coming to a conclusion eventually, and usually a triangle plays out at like 65 to 70%. Actually, if it comes all the way to the apex, you can usually just disregard the pattern entirely because you don't really see them generally play out. So we should see this playing out kind of soon. But you know, if you're looking for how to trade this, well, that didn't work. Because I'm on, I guess I'm online, it's a little jerky. So, you know, if you wanted to short it, you're looking for something like that, shorting here, or you could short the break, but usually you come back to test. You know, so if you're looking for a long, you know, the safest long is something like that, or, you know, it comes over here and then you get it right here and it goes up. So, you know, those are the kind of positions that I would be looking for on a larger time frame, like the daily right now. And I haven't even been bothering to look at any of the other ones. So let me see. I don't know which Bitcoin chart, so bear with me. And you can see that my internet is moving somewhat slowly. And this is the other daily chart that I've been looking at. So first of all, 10,540 to me is like the key line on the entire chart. It's the line that broke the bear trend, made a higher high on a macro level, and did so with some serious gusto here, right? This was a massive move, some real volume, fell below, and now we're diddling around that. So this is just an area of complete chop. I think we have indecision, but like, this couldn't be any clearer, right? I mean, if you look at if you're just looking at this chart, like this is a head and shoulders kind of thing, right? Right, whatever. I'm not my best charting because it's kind of herky jerky and I'm trying to show you guys, but right. And that broke down somewhere. You could draw the neckline between these 2 points, or you might technically draw it that way, and it broke here. So that broke down, right? And let's just really quickly, for fun, if we call it, this is rough, but here to here, your target is the neckline down, right? This would have been your target at, right, 9,700, and it got to 9,802. So that's a pattern that played out. That was a bearish pattern. That's done. So that neckline is still somewhere through here. And you can see that this is just like this blue box is a very, very clear area of support and resistance that flipped, right? Broke through somewhere in here. So support, 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 huge move through, resistance, resistance, hard drop. So this area this 11,100 area for me has to be broken. So the short answer is that right now, I just don't see any reason to like be actively trading Bitcoin. I don't think there's that much information to glean from what's happening. Do you have any pets? No, I have children. If the stock market crashes with this Trump news, isn't it likely based on correlation that Bitcoin will go up, like you were talking about on here a lot? That's my wife asking that. I mean, it's certainly possible, but generally these days, if the stock market goes up, Bitcoin somewhat goes up. If the stock market goes down, Bitcoin goes down. So the real story for me of late has been the dollar, because I think that that's where you see more correlation, or in this case, I'd like to say inverse correlation for what's going to happen. But I think if the market crashes at this point, Bitcoin would probably at least temporarily see more downside, not more upside. And we can look at the dollar in a bit. Love the videos. God, you guys stop with the many cash tags. I can't read. What do you use for setting your alarms? I use TradingView. I just put the alarm right on a line in TradingView. It was amazing. They used to text you, but that they got rid of. But I get an email or it goes off if it's open on my computer. 50 Cent made a song named Many Men, best rap song of all time. He did not have cash tag many when he made it, and it is definitively not the best rap song of all time. What has been your biggest trading loss, and how did you cope with it? Oh, God, and it must have been 2012. I invested in a pharmaceutical company called Eric's. I had I had a friend who I know someone who's working there and they're about to get FDA approval on a blood thinner. It's the most amazing tech. It's going to be incredible. I bought it around $6 with most of the expendable income and money that I had. Within a month, the CEO came out and made some stupid comment on the earnings call, basically that they were out of money and would never get to FDA approval, probably because they didn't have the money, even though the product was good. It tanked completely. Their investors pulled. It was delisted, and I literally sold it for like pennies on the dollar. So I lost everything I had on it. I didn't invest or trade for years after that. So yeah, I've been there, and it was terrible. How did I cope with it? I moved on, but at that time, it was a miserable experience. What's your opinion on Chris at Texas West Capital, who I just mentioned, thinking that a trip down to 2000 or lower is where the market's heading? Seems he's missing the fact that we've had more bullish news in 2020 than ever before. Everybody has their own interpretation. His is one that I've followed very successfully for a very long time. In fact, he was the person who was screaming at the top that it was time to get out, which was massively favorable. Personally, I don't see a trip to 2000 or lower, but if you were trying to exert the most pain on the market, that would be the way to do it, right? Absolutely crash it. Everyone thinks it's dead, says it's going to zero, and the huge money comes in and we fly. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it wouldn't be unlikely to drop down to 8,000s or even the low 7,000s. That would be roughly a 61. That would be the golden pocket retrace of this entire March move from March to the highs. So I don't think that would be crazy at all. But I think that I'm not looking for 2000. I'm just having so much trouble here scrolling. Okay, one second. Are the podcasts you have not released because you ended up not liking the guest after the interview? Generally, we've released almost all of them, but there are a few that that got sent off to. I work with a company who does the block works, and maybe we just they decided they weren't great for the audience, or we had a technical issue in them sometimes, and a lot of things that can happen. But generally, we try to choose guests that we know we're going to roll with. Do you hold on to grudges? No, I don't think so. I mean, I used to, obviously, when I was younger, but I can't think of anyone that I have any particular grudge against. I mean, I think that that comes with maturity. It's about the lesson that you can, teach your children. And I just don't think being, holding any aggression or hate or anger is good for you as a human being. Actually, a lot of that I learned from my wife, Emmy. She in her life, she was always very good as we matured in letting go of those things when people that she had, much more reason to be angry with than I ever did. And it's just kind of taught me that you can't hold those grudges because it fundamentally impacts your own positivity and happiness. Just really, there's nothing healthy about it. You just have to forgive and forget and move on with your life, I think. How about Rev? Never heard of it. Can you buy Uniswap with anything other than Ethereum like USD? Yeah, if you go on Uniswap itself to buy Uni, you can transact and you can go between almost any two coins. So you can buy with USDT, USDC, Ethereum, WETH, all these things. You can do that. Thoughts on Hippo? Cool animal in Africa. I don't know what the project is. I'm sorry. Could you find that famous BitConnect clown and interview him for the podcast? I think I'd probably avoid giving him a spotlight at all. Chad Munity. Oh my God, you guys with the many and more. Now I think I'm not going to look at it. Just kidding. I will. Did it take a long time to be profitable? Yes. Any book recommendations? Not really. What do you think of Grease 2000? Like, are we talking about the trance song? That's an absolute classic, incredible. And I'm almost 100% sure that we would find the vinyl back here somewhere, because people don't know, in the early 2000s, I was a trance DJ, like hardcore trance DJ, euphoric, everything, from the Van Dyke, Oakenfold, Tiesto early days, Sasha and Digweed era. I actually had a party in Philadelphia at a club called Shampoo that I threw with like 5 other trance DJs. This was the year after I graduated college, so 2000. It was called Air Trance, and it was huge. It was a monthly thing. We rotated who had headline, and we would bring in huge headliners. So like, I wanted to hear all these DJs, so I convinced them that we could do it, and they said no. So we had to advance sell tickets. It was this whole crazy scheme to prove that we could pay for it, but it had nothing for me as a DJ. I was just hugely into it and wanted to hear these guys, and they weren't coming to Philadelphia, so we found a way to make them come by kind of starting our own party. So like, really, really an incredible time. But then we ended up getting a cease and desist from Air France, because we modeled the logo after Air France to say Air Trance, and showed one of their airplanes. And then we had to kind of stop the party, and it was kind of crazy. But we had Dave Ralph, we had Digweed, Paul Van Dyke, and this was all in like 2000, 2001. And at that time I lived in Philadelphia, but we would go up to New York City to go to Twilo like almost every weekend that I wasn't DJing, and we would see all these DJs. Just, Sasha and Digweed were there on Fridays, and Van Dyke was there like once every month or 2 months on Saturdays. He was always my favorite at the time. So yes, I love Grease 2000, man. It's got a special place in my heart. So what was the tipping point after 15 years for my trading? I think it was because I just hated losing money, and because I stopped DJing and I had to actually make money and be a lot more serious. So when it goes from being a hobby to a job, I think the vibe obviously changes. But honestly, most people, when trading becomes their job, they do worse. And that was something that I found early. When you decide that you're going to be a quote unquote pro trader, whatever that means, because I don't really know what that means, honestly. It means, I guess, that you're going to forego any other income and, choose that this is going to be what you're going to do. But the problem is, you're used to having a job that you have to do 40, 60, 80 hours a week, whatever it is, right? So you feel pressured to trade, to be in the market, to be doing things. And that's bad for trading, because you can't force the market, right? You have to let the market come to you. And so I would find myself just over trading like crazy. Like, if I'm not trading, I'm not working. And so that was a really bad and hard thing to overcome. And eventually you realize, the less trades you take, the more money you generally make. So I think that the tipping point was just maturity, age, keep going down. I don't know of any crypto workshops. Sorry. How much of your account is at risk on a position? 1% less or more? It depends on the position. So the 1% to 2% rule of losing on a position is extremely simplified, and it's like a risk management meme, but it's not really what risk management is necessarily about. A huge part of risk management is also knowing when to trade, knowing when the market is good or when the market is bad, when the conditions are right. Because taking 10 trades with a 1% to 2% thing in a terrible market and stopping out on all of them is a 10 to 20% loss in your portfolio. That's a bad idea, right? So a huge part of risk management is portfolio management as well. Like, I generally try to keep my trading stacked to 15% or so, but those rare times when the market really seems to invite it, I'll jack that up to 40, 50, 60%. So it's hard to answer this question, but generally I like to keep it around 1%. If it's a trade that I have higher conviction in, I might push it to 2, but never higher than that. This is great. Love this. Sahil Bloom. Yeah, we've only been talking about it for like 4 months or something. Never buy a course, YOLO, man. What Uniswap bags you liking? I mean, I have YFDI. I'm in YFL. I've got some Shroom. Beyond that, I don't know. Best beat of all time is a impossible question. I think we all have beats or like music that resonates with us for a certain reason. For me, I love music because of a like memory that's attached to it or a time in my life that I listen to it. And so every time I hear music, it kind of triggers a memory. I don't know if that's normal, but like, if I hear Return of the Mac, it brings me back to a summer that I spent in college in Israel where we listened to that song and Woo-Ha by Busta Rhymes like every single day, 1,000 times, right? But if we talk about the best beat, I mean, man, a lot of premier beats. I Got a Story to Tell, Biggie. I mean, that's one of my favorite beats of all time for sure. T.I., What You Know, that beat is crazy. My friend Wonder made that. Wonder Aiello. Crazy. There's so many. It's so hard to even begin to differentiate them. So what we got here? There's the application for TradingView sending a notification. Yeah. Yeah, but calling 20K top is easy after a parabolic move. That's unfair. I think that it's very hard to call the bottom or top of a market. And yes, it's easy at that moment to say, hey, this is a good place to sell. But to say it's never going back here for years is a very hard thing to do. And honestly, he wasn't saying 20K was the top. He was saying this market is going nuts. There's full FOMO. I don't know how high it's going to go. I'm starting to scale out and de-risk. So I think that that's more of an accurate assessment than saying you called the top. Who cares about calling tops and bottoms? That's not what you want to do as a trader, honestly. All the money that most traders make is made, within a movement. It's not the total bottom. It's not the total top. You wait for a confirmation because the bottom is probably way below a key support. Price comes back up, flips that support, it hits as resistance. You enter there. You might be 20% off the bottom, but there's still a ton of meat on the bone if you can ride that and not worry about the top. You just play it level to level. Like I said, take profit at the next resistance. If it breaks that, take a little more profit. It's, trading doesn't have to be all about these binary buy and sell decisions. Buy everything now, sell everything now. That's not how it works if you're doing it right. And it's not how it works if you're trading with any size. So, calling tops and bottoms, I was pretty impressed with his attitude towards it, but yeah, I get it. Top 3 long-term holdings you like next 12 to 24 months. Bitcoin and Ethereum. And if you're feeling bold, Link is probably a good bet to do well generally. Any thoughts on crypto.com and the CRO token? No thoughts. I've never traded there. What happened to XMY? I have no idea, but I saw that it was in bad shape. BZRX, no thoughts. I was trading it and didn't do particularly well. How do you think AI will influence trading? Seems bot and algo are already slowly changing the rules. Yeah, I don't know how AI specifically will do it, but I can tell you that you're trading against computers for sure. I mean, Wall Street, everywhere else, quant is the big thing, high frequency trading. So I think that, I think that AI will probably make trading harder and harder and harder for the average person to compete. But hopefully, if that's the case, that technology will be available to all of us. Hey, SM. Hey. Yes, DJ Premier. Have you tried some crypto bot platform? I've never really been into bots. I could never find one that I trusted or that worked. Although like my friend Altcoin Psycho, who writes quite a bit actually for the newsletter and shares stock trades, he has a bot and it's been pretty awesome. I haven't been using it, but I've seen the results. Stacked has some awesome bots. There's a lot of bots out there, but I think that they still are at a point where they require some management and override. So it's just not my thing. Like I've been profitable without it. And, I trade because I enjoy trading and making money trading. So I don't see like having a bot that I'm worried what it's doing in the background for me. Just it wouldn't really fit my own like trading style and strategy. Yes, DJ Premier, beg coins. You and I are friends now. Who represents? I don't know. Nas? Yo, Scott, like this format. Any favorites for NFT? Not yet, but I'll get back to you. What do you think of NWC? No thoughts. What's up, first time viewer, fairly recent Twitter follower? I appreciate you sharing with us online. Well, thank you. I appreciate the kind words. And everyone here is a first time viewer because I have not done this before. So I was talking about support and resistance before. I want to actually just pull up the dollar chart because the dollar really has been extremely compelling for looking at all other markets. I mean, it's always been that way. But I'm going to look at the, let me pull these up really quick. Share. Yikes, what is that doing? I don't know if this is sharing correctly. Hopefully it is. Because it was doing something weird there. Nope, that's not going to do it. All right. This is behaving strangely. Let me see. I'm going to go look at YouTube and see if you're actually seeing my screen or not, because it's on delay, but I think you are. Yeah, it's good. All right. So this is Bitcoin versus the dollar, right? Hard not to see that there's been quite a bit of inverse price action between the two, right? This is the dollar goes down, Bitcoin goes up. I mean, look at it here. It's absurd. So, you know, we talk about correlation between the stock market and Bitcoin. The real story, that's all relative. Mathematically, it hasn't been proven particularly true. They've never gotten to more than moderate correlation against one another. The real story is dollar versus everything else. When the dollar is weak, everything else goes up. When the dollar is strong, everything else tends to go down. Okay, so that's that chart. But hopefully it's sharing my screen on this chart as well. This is the dollar on a log chart. I always use logarithmic charts because I think that the relative movement is much more important than the fixed movement. So we all know what happened to the dollar in the 2000s, right? All the way up here, 120, slow decline all the way until the market died, the Great Recession in 2000, 2008, right? This was a great, incredible time for stocks. This is when stocks dumped, dollar rose slowly. So what's important about this is that we see here that it's been in, you know, price tends to move in channels for those who believe that markets move in similar ways. And so what we have here is this massive channel that was formed from 2010, right? So it started up here, 2011, perfect touch, perfect touch. There's no second perfect touch to the top. So you could draw this line like a little bit more pitched, but I don't think it's necessary because what you can see here is that there's three lines that matter when you draw a channel generally. You have the top, obviously, as the main resistance, the bottom is the main support, and then you have the EQ, which I talk about all the time. People are like, what's EQ? It's the equilibrium, the center line of a channel, right? And that can be a rising channel, a descending channel, or it can be just, you know, a trading range. So a trading range is a channel too. You find a high, you find a low, you draw a range, which is a perfectly horizontal parallel channel, and you have that in the middle. So what's compelling about this is this, right? Perfect rejection here at the EQ. Break, strong break to the top, support. Perfect there, almost to the top, clear breakdown. You know, listen, it's not going to be perfect. We're talking about within a few points here. Right here, this is where, you know, this is March 2020. This is where the stock market bottomed. And then it's dropped and the stock market has actually raged since. And Bitcoin was 3,600 here, maybe 6,000 because 3,600 only lasted like an hour and then down. So we've had people talking about dollar strength a lot in the past few days. So first, on a macro narrative, the government wants dollar weakness. Dollar is weak, stocks are strong, market goes up, number only goes up, stocks only go up, president wins the election, right? That's the very simple. There's much more complex macroeconomic reasons for a weak dollar, trade wars, you know, competition for deflating currencies, a lot of things. But so we finally saw here in July a clear, it was testing support. And then in August, we saw the clear break below this channel, right? Very clear. And so what I said to everyone who was following me and would ask, I shared it in the newsletter. I've shared this chart so many times in the newsletter that when you close down here, a channel that's been in existence for 10 years is unlikely to just have a breakdown without a retest as resistance, right? You need confirmation of this channel with a retest as resistance. So we had that August candle. Let me delete this, right? We had this August candle here. This is on a monthly chart, clear breakdown in September. And until like 4 or 5 days ago, we were up here and everyone was screaming that the channel was bad and dead and whatever. And the dollar dropped and closed basically right at resistance. None of this is going to be perfect. And now we have this candle that opened below the line and is testing it here. I don't know what would happen. This could fly and this could be like a slight fake out and whatever. But technically with this breakdown and this retest, you would look for something, you know, like this. And we're looking at a monthly chart here. So this could happen over years, but you're looking at like a really long sustained downtrend if that plays out. This doesn't just drop to like here or here, right? I mean, this is a major channel. We might drop all the way down to the bottom, 72.72. And stock market would love that, you know? So let's zoom in on the daily where everybody was getting super bullish. So I had this bull div here, somewhat clear. Right. I mean, this is as obvious as it gets that there's going to be a bounce. The dollar is oversold on a level it hasn't been. Zooming back, I can't find 2018. Okay, here we go. On the daily, we don't have a single day in the last 10 years where the dollar was more oversold on the daily chart, right? Got to go back here, 2008. Okay, you're going to bounce. You're going to bounce when RSI is that oversold. And you're going to probably do it with a bull div, right? Huge bullish divergence. We see it continues to come down, higher low, pop. All right. Well, it almost got, and every time that RSI goes oversold or overbought, you know that it's eventually, doesn't mean that price will do exactly the same, but eventually RSI is going to reset and revert to the mean and then go back to the other side. Oversold leads to overbought leads to oversold. We didn't quite get there, but it got to 67 instead of 70 right here. So everybody's screaming dollar bullishness. I drew this over here. And here we are, right? You see? So we hit this resistance, almost, you know, penny, drop below, and now maybe we'll test it. We'll see what happens. Like, listen, it could pop through. This could be, if we're being completely honest, this could also be, I haven't looked at this, but just eyeballing it, you know, we could clearly have something like this happening, which would be, you know, consolidation against resistance, something like this. Descend, you know, kind of a, it's weird, but it could be a bull flag, more of a broadening descending wedge. But yeah, I mean, that could be happening. But while we're under this support and doing what I was looking at on a larger time scale, I think that the dollar is in for trouble, and that would generally be good for stock market and would generally be good for Bitcoin. Let me head back over here. That guy plays a bean guitar. Don't know who we're talking about, but I'm sure it's true. Advice for an intermediate trader with a couple years worth of experience who understands all concepts, yet not able to make such profits. Yeah, I would say that the only advice that I can give you is to journal and track your trades like crazy, because if you've been doing it for a long time and you understand the concepts, now it's just a matter of actually putting those concepts into action, right? You can know what to do. We all know what to do, but we all know that 95% of traders lose, right? They quit, they go broke, they lose all their money. So you need to figure out what's holding you down and what's stopping you, and hone in on those things and play to your strengths and avoid your weaknesses. So it could just be that you're poor at placing stop losses. It could be that your position size is wrong. There's a million things that it could be. You need to figure out exactly what those are and avoid those same mistakes. But hey, Bagsy, what's up? So I'm used to listening to your live streams. It's kind of surreal. Find a new job was his answer. Trading isn't for everyone. Sadly, that's sounds mean, sounds kind of cruel, but it's true. Like I just touched on, 95% of traders fail. You can study every technique, you can know every indicator, you can know exactly where to draw your lines. And that's where it becomes very important to differentiate between a great trader and a great analyst, right? Because I've known people, we all know people who are amazing at looking at a chart and determining where things are likely to happen. But being able to actually trade that and be profitable on it is very hard, because it's not as simple as up or down. You could be right every single time about the direction that a trade is going to go in and still lose money every time because your stop loss was wrong. You stop out right before it happens. You enter at the wrong time. Your position is too big. So the one time that you're wrong out of 10, you lose as much as you made on the 9 times that you were right. I mean, how many times have we all experienced in our early days of trading, thinking you're amazing, getting to that level where you're like, I have 8 wins in a row, 9 wins in a row, 10 wins in a row. You're up, and you lose all of it and more in one single trade. Always happens because you think you're too smart and you think you're too good. And that's why every trader blows up their account. It's inevitable. So it's up to you whether you learn from that or not. Alan Pachent says shampoo or cheetah, and I say a very clean, well shampooed cheetah. Does that count as an answer? Well, it is about time for me to exit and go eat lunch because I'm hungry. This has been really fun. I'm going to make a practice of doing this. Definitely going to figure out how to do this more in the future and start sharing some more charts and ideas. And otherwise, I'm gonna move on. If you like this, you should definitely be checking out my podcast, which is also here on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube so you don't miss these when they happen. And check out the wolfofallstreets.io, which is my website, which is where I have all of this content kind of in one place. You can find it. You can also subscribe to the Wolf Den newsletter there. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. I have no idea how to stop this thing, but I'm going to try. Peace.